Hey everybody, today I am at Saguaro National Park, just outside of Tucson, Arizona. I have a few hours this afternoon. I'm going to explore the West District. I just stopped at the visitor center, paid my fee, and grabbed this guide. This should have some good information on where to go and good things to see. Kind of learning as I go. I know that this is the home of the saguaro cactus. I know that they can get to be, on average, 40 to 60 feet tall. And they're only found in the Saguaran Desert. So yeah, we're gonna follow the road here, and this is called the Bajada Loop, I believe, and gonna find some cool vistas, some cool pull-off spots, and might get out and try a short hike. So let's do it. So we just made it to the first pull-off spot along the Bajada Loop, which is called the Hugh Norris Trailhead. And now we can get a really good idea of just the sheer magnitude of some of these cacti and how many there are. I mean, it's insane. They're covering all the hills, all the peaks. You're just totally surrounded by cacti. This guy looks like he lost one of his arms. All right, so we're leaving the Hugh Norris Trailhead. We're heading along the Bajada Loop now. It's officially turned into a one-way road. So we're just kind of winding up through all these cacti. It's just an endless field everywhere you look. And I believe we're heading up now to the Valley View Trail, and we'll see what there is up there. We're gonna park the car here and take a look down this trail, see what there is that we can learn. So we're on the Valley View Loop Trail right now. It's just a short 0.3 mile trail that goes up to a little overlook up here in front of us. Super cool to be able to walk among these crazy tall cactus though. Very different than out on the East Coast where I'm from. Had to shed the jacket though. Visiting here in January, and it's in the mid-70s today. Talking to the park ranger, she said that this is typically the busy time for the park. Between January and March is when they get most of their visitors. And actually, Saguaro National Park gets up to over 1 million visitors a year. So you can kind of see out there's a car right here. They're coming along the road that we came up, the Bajada Loop. And then back this way, right there, is where the car is. We're almost to the summit of this little small hill here, and we're gonna see how good the view is. So took a quick detour and actually went up to the Eskimingen picnic area where there's some bathrooms and what looks like a pretty cool structure that we're gonna go check out. It's a super cool little picnic area up here. It's got 360 views looking out into the park. It's just crazy that continue to be surrounded by these 100, 200-year-old cactus. As we keep exploring the park, I'm starting to realize that one thing that I really enjoy about this park in particular is that even though this is considered the busy season, I haven't really passed that many people. I think it's probably a park that gets overlooked or people have never heard of. So it's really cool to be able to kind of have it to yourself and really get to take in all the views. So we're on our way now up to Signal Hill, which is where the petroglyphs are going to be. And doing a little bit of research, found out that petroglyphs are actually a form of rock art that the Hohokam people used back when they were farming the area of southern Arizona in between 300 and 1450 AD. These farmers and hunter-gatherers were using the river valleys to set up their homes and small towns, and we come up here to these hills and make rock art. So we made it up here to the top of Signal Hill. Behind me is where these petroglyphs are. They were from the Hohokam period. Just incredible views up here. Almost 360, but it looks out into more of the flatlands of the park where a lot of saguaro cactus live. Just looking in front of us here, this far mountain range back here is the Rincon Mountain District of Saguaro National Park. That's on the eastern side of Tucson. It has more elevation than the western side. However, just reading reviews and people's experiences in the park, a lot of people prefer the western side over the eastern side. There is an 8-mile paved loop in the Rincon Mountain District that offers quite a few vistas and viewpoints for visitors. So we're heading back off of Signal Hill now, going back to the car. Gonna finish the Bajada Loop Trail as we kind of head back towards the entrance of the park. Looking ahead towards the end of the trip, we're gonna be going to Gates Pass for a Tucson sunset, which I'm super excited about. Heard nothing but good things about it. It's actually not part of Saguaro National Park. It's right outside the gates. Actually in the old Tucson is what the area is called. But we're gonna check that out next. So we're almost back to the parking lot, but I wanted to take a second and talk a little bit about water in the desert, specifically about Tucson's monsoon season. So in Tucson, it typically rains between mid-July and mid to late September. And here behind me is one of the park maintained kind of water runoff areas that keeps erosion from happening throughout the park. But what's really unique is that there's a lot of canals that have kind of been lost with time at this point. But the Hohokam people dug them out back in the 1400 AD time period. And some of these canals were 30 feet wide, 10 feet deep, and up to 10 miles long. So very cool that even back then they had figured out ways to channel water to wherever they needed to grow crops and of course have fresh water. Something else I learned that's pretty interesting is that the trunks of saguaro cacti can actually be used as fence posts and poles. And this looks like it was just a picnic area that at one time probably had a roof, and they used the trunks of these cactus to use as poles. So we just finished the Signal Hill petroglyphs. We're just got back to the car. We're gonna keep moving along the Bajada Loop Trail here and close it out as we finish our loop kind of back towards the visitor center here. We've officially left Saguaro National Park. You see on the map here, we're here. Like I mentioned earlier, we want to try to catch the sunset down at Gates Pass, which is going to be down here. There are a couple things along the way that we might try to stop and see. I'm curious about this old Tucson Studios. I'd like to see what that's about, as well as maybe some of the other picnic areas and overlooks as we swing down through this part of the world. This is a good representation here of where we were. So there's the boundaries for the national park, and now we're kind of dipping southeast into the Tucson Mountain Park area. So we just pulled into the King Canyon Trailhead parking lot here, which is part of the Tucson Mountain Park area. This trail does lead to Tucson Peak, which is inside of the national park. It is the highest elevation in the western district of the park and is supposed to have one of the best sunset views, comparable to Gates Pass, which is where we're going to be going tonight. We'd love to take that trail. However, it is an 8-mile round trip hike and we're running out of time today. So we're about to drive by the entrance to the Desert Museum, which, talking to the rangers in the Welcome Center, they highly recommended. Apparently it's kind of a combination, almost like a zoo. I believe there's an aquarium in there, surprisingly. And then there's a lot of history about the Sonora Desert, the old Tucson area, the Tucson Mountain Park, and then of course the national park. We just passed the entrance there. We're gonna keep heading on into the mountain park and see if we can't catch up to the old Tucson Studios. So we made it down to old Tucson Studios. It looks like they're actually closing up for the day, so we won't be able to do that today. However, it is pretty cool from the outside. It looks like it kind of resembles an old mining town just based on the tops of the buildings that I can see from the parking lot. The parking lot is massive, so I'm assuming it's a pretty big attraction around here. Have to do some more research to see exactly what all it entails. I know there's a sign over here on the door for ghost tours, so it's very fitting for Arizona in the desert. So we made it to the Gate Pass parking lot, and I can see now where the mountain park gets its name. The landscape has changed dramatically. We've climbed up to the top of the pass almost. We're gonna be going kind of over my shoulder here. We're gonna try to climb up along the edge here, get up on top for the sunset. But it's super interesting to see these same saguaro cacti on these cliff faces that we just saw down kind of in the lower flatlands. Super cool. So that's where we started. Already an incredible view. And that's where we're headed. Checkpoint number 2. Started there, got to there, moves our way around to here. View just keeps getting better and better, and almost to our destination. So we're calling an audible. When I spun the camera on the last time, there was already someone on top of this peak we were looking at. So we'll just keep climbing and we'll go to that one. Well, we made it all the way to the top. It's a little windy, so it may be a little hard to hear, but definitely worth the climb. This is definitely gonna rank in the top 3 sunsets I think I've ever seen. And it's still 30 minutes out. It's a little nerve-wracking for those people that are afraid of heights, myself included. It's a pretty steep drop-off down to the flatlands down there. And it might be a little hard to see, but those cacti run all the way down through there, back the direction we came. And the park is kind of over that peak right there. Of course, this is again the mountain park area, but just incredible views anywhere you look. Seeing just what the Sonora Desert has to offer is incredible. Back this way, that's Tucson down in there. So on the far side back there is going to be the eastern district of the national park. Super cool how they have it broken up like that. I wish I would have had time to go to the east side too. It just didn't work out this trip, but I definitely think I made the right choice going to the west side, given the sunset we're about to see here. Well, you're coming to find watching this channel that my luck isn't always that great. Actually, most of the time it's not that great. And that is seeming to hold true today. Picked the only partly cloudy day that Arizona's seen in the last 2 months. Try to watch the sunset, so it's not going to be great. I was just about to put the camera away before I headed back down to the car. Just happened to turn around before I dipped over the side of the peak, and the colors have gotten insane.